Perhaps the most dangerous concept in our fight against Islamic terror, terrorists of all makes and models to be precise, is the belief we often hold that we know everything. We're smarter than everybody else. And just because we're America means we don't fall behind the curve and we are always out in front of the killers. Nothing is more dangerous than ego and hubris. And unless we learn that, something we should already be aware of, that we will cease us and it will stop us from having imagination about where the next attack will come from, making us all the more vulnerable. Our guest was the chief of counterterrorism and national security while working for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Texas. He is now congressman from the state of Texas, author of the fascinating new book, Failures of Imagination, The Deadliest Threats to Our Homeland and How We Thwart Them. Representative Michael McCaul joins us today. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I dug right into this book because I have talked about the lack of imagination with so many people on this show, and I need to then get right to the core of that. We're a nation that was based and began on imagination. How did we lose our way in this instance in not thinking outside of that box?
Well, I think it's absolutely essential. As chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, I have to engage in these red team exercises all the time, and I think it's very important. I did this for a couple of reasons. 9/11 was a failure of imagination, according to the 9/11 Commission. I think Pearl Harbor was as well. And we have to stay in front of the evolving threat to stop it. I think also that the administration has downplayed the threats so much that I'm attempting in this book to tell the American people the truth about what the threats are that we face as a nation, and then most importantly, what we can do to stop it.
What about those who look at this and they say, wait a minute, and I know you've heard this too. People say, stop being knee-jerk. Stop trying to hurt us. Stop trying to go ahead and throw fear in there all the time. That's all you people are trying to do is make us scared. But you hear that, and then you got to look, with your experience especially, and look these people back in the eye and say, you couldn't be more wrong. This is not about fear. This is about the reality that we face, and we've got to be ready for it.
Well, it is about reality, and you can't just put your head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't exist. And look, there are bad actors out there. Evil does exist in the world. I wish it didn't. I end with maybe one day this will end. But, I look at my father's generation, World War II, handed down a better America, defeated fascism. Reagan defeated communism. Now we're dealing with Islamist extremism. And we really have to call it what it is, define it, and defeat it. And I don't think this administration has really wanted to deal with that threat adequately. This president always calls it something else, workplace violence, blame it on a video, whatever. Even the State of the Union wouldn't even talk about San Bernardino. But the fact is, it is real and it's out there, and we need to hit it head on. The best Homeland Security on the defensive side is a good offense, I think.
We are always very impressed with our military. We always talk about the need for our military to be ready at all times. During the Democratic debate on Sunday, Senator Bernie Sanders said that the military budget is inflated and focused in the wrong areas. I want everybody to hear this, and I want you to comment. Here's what he said.
We have a $600 billion military budget. It is a budget larger than the next 8 countries. Unfortunately, much of that budget continues to fight the old Cold War with the Soviet Union. Very little of that budget, less than 10%, actually goes into fighting ISIS and international terrorism.
How right or how wrong is he?
Well, he's very wrong. And I have to tell you, one of the first questions they got asked, all three, including Ms. Clinton, was, what are your top 3 priorities? None of the candidates mentioned national security. And yet when you talk to the American people, that's the #1 issue they're concerned about is, are we safe? They want to feel safe. And the reason they don't is because this administration has created more problems around the world that are threats now to our country. And I think our military is at one of the weakest levels since before World War II. I think that's very, very dangerous. Sequestration has dropped the budgets of the military such that we are not capable of dealing with multiple threats across the globe. I talk a lot about the ISIS threat, but I also talk in the book about the threat from Mr. Putin and Russia and Russian aggression. and from China and cybersecurity attacks.
Let me bring this back home, if you will, for a moment. I only have about 20 seconds left. I'd like you to comment on this. The Supreme Court today agreed to hear the Obama administration's contention that he has the power to change immigration policy without going through Congress. In 25 seconds, how dangerous is that?
Well, it's, in my judgment, a violation of the Constitution. I'm glad the Supreme Court's taking the case. I think the president went around the Congress. Congress has the authority under the Constitution to enact the immigration laws of this nation. If this was an end around the Constitution, I think it violated that, and I'm very optimistic the Supreme Court will find it the same way.
We are a nation of laws. We are also a nation that needs imagination. The book, again, is Failures of Imagination: The Deadliest Threats to Our Homeland and How to Thwart Them. It's something we need to focus on every day. Congressman Michael McCaul, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the book. I hope we talk again very soon. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news, The Hard Line, continues.